Hi everyone, my name is Samira Suman and welcome to the University of Birmingham, Dubai session on psychology. So here with you today is Olivia, who is our Deputy Director for our psychology program. And as I said, my name is Samira Suman and I work on behalf of the student recruitment team here at the University of Birmingham, Dubai. So over to Olivia.
Thank you, Samira, and welcome to our session on psychology. My name is Olivia Gonsalves, and I'm the Deputy Director for the Psychology Foundation at the University of Birmingham, Dubai. Before we begin the session, I thought we could look at a short common sense quiz. So in the following slides, you will see a few statements and you will have to decide if they are true or false. The first statement is, the titles psychologist and psychiatrist refer to the same profession. So do you think this is true or false? If your answer was false, you are correct. Actually, people often confuse the title psychologist and psychiatrist, but one of the key differences lie in the educational background. Psychiatrists are medical doctors who can prescribe medication, while psychologists are primarily trained in research and behavioral interventions for those pursuing a clinical route. The second statement is, a person's intelligence is partially determined by brain size. So, do you think this is true or false? If your answer was false, you are correct. So our understanding of how the brain gives birth to the mind has come a long way. The ancient Greek physician Hippocrates correctly located the mind in the brain. But in the early 1800s, German physician Franz Gall proposed that phrenology, which is studying bumps on the skull, could actually reveal a person's mental abilities and character traits. A closer look at phrenology did show, however, that it was pseudoscience and was discredited for a lack of empirical support. So a person's intelligence and brain size are not related. Finally, eyewitness testimony is some of the best evidence used by police and in court trials. So do you think this statement is true or false? If your answer was false, you are correct again. Research has been able to show that many eyewitness memories can be false, implanted, distorted, or even made up. Many after-the-fact events and experiences can actually lead individuals to form new memories which are inconsistent with the real events or distorted ones that are not truly representative of the true events which occurred. So Samira, what do you think about these?
Olivia, I thought they were really interesting true or false statements, which actually I was interested to find out how they relate to everyday life, and I didn't realize psychology would actually impact that.
Exactly. A lot of these myths are actually based on common sense notions, and the reality is that none of them are true. And you know, these were interesting again because even though psychology can sometimes be accused of being common sense, psychology is able to show us that it is not common sense.
Great. So if, Olivia, psychology is not common sense, what is it exactly?
That's an excellent question, Samira. So psychology is actually the scientific study of the mind and how it dictates and influences our behavior. So from communication and memory to thought and emotion. And psychologists use the scientific method to conduct studies and research in psychology.
Great. And what would actually attract students to study psychology?
I think that for students, the most obvious reason to study psychology is the subject-specific knowledge they will gain and the insight they'll develop into the mind, brain, and behavior. But there are three things I want to highlight. First, psychology is a fascinating area of study. Again, it helps individuals understand human behavior and mental processes and allows them to better understand how we think, act, and feel. So one small example is inattentional blindness, where we think that important objects and events in our world will automatically grab our attention, but they often don't, particularly when our attention is focused on something else. For example, you may not have noticed that the title font went from blue to black, though a small example, inattentional blindness is actually a phenomenon that is studied in psychology.
That's really interesting.
Yes, it is also relevant to the real world. Psychologists are weighing in during this unprecedented time of social distancing and are providing guidance to stay as healthy as possible because there are a lot of mental health and psychosocial considerations during the COVID-19 outbreak. And clinical institutions, as well as universities internationally, have opened online platforms to provide psychological counseling services for affected people. So there are a lot of practical uses for psychology in the real world, from motivation to understanding people and even memory. While we're on the topic of memory, if you have been to Disneyland recently, you surely recall what it was like. And if you were presented with the print on the right, would it remind you of fond memories? Do you think there's a problem with the ad on the right? Actually, about 1/3 of the people who were exposed to this fake print advertisement that described a visit to Disneyland and how they met and shook hands with Bugs Bunny later said they remembered or knew that the event happened to them. Again, if you have been to Disneyland, you will know that Bugs Bunny is not a Disney character. This tells us how we rely a lot on our memories. And the frightening thing about this is that the study suggests how easily a false memory can be created. And finally, psychology is a field that provides skills for a wide range of careers.
Brilliant. So when we talk about careers, what careers could students actually get into?
Good question, Samira. Before we jump to the careers, why don't we take a look at the different skills that students will acquire during their study on our BSc Psychology program. So students will cover a diverse range of subjects and will acquire psychology skills that will first give them an understanding on the physiological, emotional, cognitive, and social determinants of behavior. The insights they gain about memory, bias, people's motivations, perceptions, even behavior will perhaps give them a different perspective on why people react the ways they do and help them understand people a little better. As a student, you will also gain quantitative and qualitative skills with familiarity and experience with the psychological research methods, including data collection and analysis, knowledge of research ethics, as well as coding and AI. And finally, you will gain critical thinking skills, analytical problem solving, and creativity that will allow you to make logical and informed decisions to the best of your ability while writing, designing, or analyzing data. So moving on to the careers, let's have a look at some of the Birmingham Psychology graduate careers. With all the skills I have covered and more, psychology graduates can pursue further professional training in any number of areas depending on their particular interests. So first, let's look at anything in the applied psychology, from clinical, educational, to neuropsychology and more. A lot of students are often interested in forensic psychology, which applies psychological principle to legal issues, and forensic psychologists' expertise is often essential in the judicial system.
So Olivia, what's the difference between clinical and counselling psychology?
Counseling and clinical psychology are very similar. So counseling psychologists work with their clients to improve their mental health and emotional well-being, whereas clinical psychologists assess and treat clients with a range of mental or physical health issues, conditions, or disorders. So counseling psychologists are more likely to work with healthier individuals. If we look at the research area of the graduate careers, students are also able to pursue careers in research, from psycholinguistic, with studying the linguistic behavior and psychological processes, to cognitive neuroscience, where they focus on neural connections within the biological processes that underlie cognition. Now, what's interesting, and you can see from this slide, is that not every graduate goes on to become a practicing psychologist, but the transferable skills and knowledge they gain will be attractive to any employer. Graduates can end up working anywhere in the psychology relevant box, from marketing, for example, to social work and teaching, and can even apply their skills to police, nursing, and accounting.
I think that's really helpful to those who are watching this, because I think most students would assume, oh, you can just become a counselor. But knowing that you can actually, have those transferable skills is really great to know. So how would those transferable skills apply to, say, accounting?
All right. So psychology graduates evaluate the human mind using a variety of theories and procedures, which might apply to the accounting field as well. So if you look at accounting issues, for example, a lot of those issues deal with matters of human behavior, such as the judgments and decisions of managers, investors, analysts, auditors. So the skills graduates learn in psychology can easily be transferable to accounting.
Brilliant. And how about such fields as you've listed there, nursing? How would psychology, coincide with nursing?
Excellent question, Samira. So nurses, amongst other responsibilities, assess and talk to patients about their problems and discuss the best way to plan and deliver their care. They also build relationships with patients to encourage trust while listening to and interpreting their needs and concerns. And while doing so, they definitely use some of the skills I described earlier. So basically, psychology is a degree that gives students a huge variety of options. So if we look at the courses that students are able to pursue at our Dubai campus, there are two pathways to earning a psychology degree at the University of Birmingham, Dubai. The first one is the Psychology BSc with Integrated Foundation Year, which is a 4-year foundation single honors program. And the second one is a Psychology BSc, which is a 3-year single honors program. So let me start by talking about the Integrated Foundation Year. So the Integrated Foundation Year is basically a transition year between school and undergraduate programs, and it's designed to prepare students for the 3-year programs if they have 12 years of schooling or 30 years of schooling, but have not met the high entry requirements to get a direct entry into the 3-year programs. Students meet the progression criteria. They are guaranteed progression into the 3-year programs. So it is essentially one program.
That was very well explained. So in your opinion, what would you say are the benefits to studying for the foundation program?
Well, since the foundation year provides a smooth transition from school to university, when they join the University of Birmingham Dubai Foundation, they will be allocated a personal tutor who will help them and help monitor their progress, reflect, and plan their future. And since classes are small, they will also get individual support. What's also interesting is that throughout the different programs, we have seen that foundation year students do as well as direct entry students in year 1 and onwards.
Okay, great. So actually it doesn't set them back. It puts them on the same level as their other peers.
It definitely does.
Great.
Why don't we look at some of the things students will actually study when pursuing a degree with us? So during the foundation year, students will undertake modules in Introduction to Psychology, in which they will cover core areas such as cognitive, social, and developmental psychology. Students will also take biology, since studies of behavior and biology are strongly connected and together can lead to a better understanding of human and animal behavior. Students will also take module in Math for Life Sciences in preparation for research methods and data analysis. And finally, they will have a module in academic study skills, which are critical to success in university. As a student, you will learn through a combination of lectures during which information will be delivered and seminars which will allow more interactivity. So in years 1 and 2, students will study topic courses in cognitive psychology, psychobiology, learning, developmental psychology. as well as neural basis of vision and action, amongst other modules.
So Olivia, may I ask, what is the difference between social and differential psychology?
Social and differential psychology is a module during which students will study the different theories of personality, intelligence, and other differences, as well as the correlates and consequences of individual differences in different social and cultural contexts. Students will also be introduced to key theories and research within social psychology, such as the influence of social thinking on perceiving the self, attitudes and persuasion, and more. And that's why the module is called Social and Differential Psychology.
Okay, great, got it. And what is neural basis of vision and action?
Good question. So one of the primary purposes of the nervous system is to take in information about the outside world and allow us to act based on that information. As primates, the majority of our sensory information comes in through our visual system. So this module will explore the perception action loop, focusing on vision and proprioception as the main sensory inputs. Students will still have lectures where information will be provided, and now they will have tutorials where they will have smaller groups that will allow for more discussion, as well as lab classes, because some of the topic courses that do have a practical element to them. The personal tutors they are allocated will also continue to offer support and advice for developing skills. And finally, in year 3, students will cover specialized modules and undertake a research project. So the content of the research project will vary according to the research area and will allow a student to gain insight and first-hand experience of the research process in psychology. These are some of the modules that they will cover. So first, social cognitive development in infancy and childhood, brain imaging, adult neuropsychological disorders, and psychology of popular media culture.
Olivia, what exactly does brain imaging involve?
So brain imaging will provide students with a comprehensive introduction into the key neuroimaging techniques and how they can be used to study human behavior and brain function in both health and disease.
Brilliant. And what exactly is the psychology of popular media culture? What would be covered in that module?
All right, so in psychology of popular media and culture, students will basically cover psychological research on how popular culture and general media influences the brain and behavior.
Really interesting and really relevant as well, I think, for the generation, younger generation. And
Definitely.
great, thank you for that, Olivia.
Oh, pleasure. Now that you know how awesome psychology is and what you will study at the University of Birmingham, let me tell you about why students choose psychology at the University of Birmingham, Dubai. First, they look at the graduate prospects. We are ranked first in the Russell Group for the graduate prospects, and the Russell Group includes universities such as the University of Cambridge and the University of Oxford, which gives you a good idea of what this ranking means. Second, you may know that the University of Birmingham is ranked in the world top 100, but you may not know that the School of Psychology is in the world top 100 for psychology in the QS World University Rankings by Subject 2018. Then, over half of our research activity was recognized as being world-leading in the Research Excellence Framework 2014. And this world-leading research feeds directly into our programs, which means that you will learn from academics who are experts in their fields. And finally, our facilities are excellent. In 2021, we will be building a brand new campus with amazing facilities, including labs for psychology. And in year 2, you will have the opportunity to study at our Edgbaston campus, and you will have access to purpose-built facilities specially equipped for work in human brain sciences, psychophysiology, cognition, and more. And we also offer a number of scholarships, which I'm sure Samira can tell us more about.
Sure. Thank you so much, Olivia, for that brilliant presentation. I'm just going to quickly run through the various scholarships which we offer all of our students who choose to study with us here at the University of Birmingham, Dubai. We have a number of scholarships available. The first is our Chancellor's Academic Merit Scholarship, which is based on your predicted grades. So what we would do is apply, upload your predicted transcripts, and once you get a conditional offer, then we would issue you with a scholarship letter. This would involve you obtaining between 10 to 30% off each year of study, which is very, very brilliant. And as Olivia mentioned, for those who actually wanted to study in our UK campus in Edgbaston, the scholarship would also apply to their second year. So it's brilliant, it's really credible. We also have our Provost Scholarship, which is 50% fully funded, but that is based on invitation only. So once you apply to us, we would actually invite you for that scholarship. So we actually run a number of parallel scholarships. So if you need any further information on any of those that I've just spoken about, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us. If you want to have a one-on-one chat, you could email dubai@contacts.bham.ac.uk. Just send us an email with your query, and either myself or another member of my team would definitely reply back to you. Or you can WhatsApp us on +971 055 182 8937. If you're abroad, please don't forget the +971, very important. And otherwise, we have a brilliant resource available for everyone to access. It's free and it's a great platform with lots of information about what it's like to study at university, what the transition's like, as Olivia mentioned, how you'll be taught, seminars, lectures. The website address, is www.skillsforuni.beham.ac.uk. You can also access this from our university website as well. If you just Google University of Birmingham, Dubai. So as I've mentioned before, our academic and recruitment staff are all on hand, myself and Olivia, to answer any questions you have. If you wanted to ask Olivia any further questions about psychology, the modules, it all sounds fascinating. So I'm sure you'll have plenty of questions. Please do not hesitate to get in touch with us. We are here to offer you free, impartial advice and happy for you to reach out to us. So I'd like to thank Olivia for her time today. And I hope for all those who are watching, you've enjoyed the session and have got all the relevant information you need. And as I've mentioned, please do stay in touch and reach out to us.